So much to Phil Hawkins there. Well, he is a former CEO of the Market Theatre Foundation in Johannesburg and Chief Director of Cultural Affairs at the Gauteng Department of Sport, Arts, Culture and Recreation. He also spent 5 years as the CEO of the landmark Robben Island Museum. That's Sibongiseni Mkhize, who has just been appointed the new CEO of the State Theatre. His very first job was in the heritage sector, where he worked as a researcher at the Natal Museum from 1997 to 1999. He continued his work in research, where he moved when he moved on to the local history museums in Durban from 1999 to 2002, where he later was promoted to acting director. Dr. Mkhize joins us now. Tell us more about his insight. Give us rather insight onto his vision regarding the State Theatre. Good morning. So welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Let's talk about your appointment. What does this appointment personally mean for you?
Yes, I think I can say it's one of those important things because the State Theatre has always been an institution that is close to my heart. Even though I spent about 7 years in Johannesburg when I was at the Market Theatre and with the Cultural Affairs Department in Gauteng, I always wanted to work with the team at the State Theatre because I was very close with the people who were managing there. I knew them very well. And also because I was always curious about why there's always this differentiation in terms of audiences, and sometimes you find that a show becomes a failure at the State Theatre, becomes a huge success at the Market Theatre. So I was always curious about that, and I felt when the opportunity came, let me try my luck and see if they would be interested in me joining them.
Yeah. What key areas do you think you need to focus on at the State Theatre now?
Yeah, I think as a CEO, one of the most important things is to make sure that the structures of good corporate governance are strong. That's the first thing. Also to make sure that the arts takes place within an environment where there is fiscal discipline, there's alignment between the artistic side and the business side, which is the management of the financial affairs of the institution. But on the artistic side, I think one of the most important things is audience development, to make sure that at the end of the day, all the brilliant work that we put on stage gets audiences, people who come and watch those shows, because I think it must be devastating for artists to perform in front of very small or empty houses.
You're quoted as saying that you feel the State Theatre should be working with other theatres. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, I think because all over the world, that's how theatres survive, because theatre on its own is a very complex business, and sometimes you find that there's not sufficient funding. So I don't think it's good for us just to complain that we don't have resources, when actually we could pull those resources together with other institutions. For example, we've got the State Theatre, you've got the Market Theatre, you've got Artscape, Parkhoffs. I think all of us, because we always complain from time to time that we don't have sufficient resources, but also not just looking at other South African theatres, also looking at the African continent, because there is the Africa 2063 agenda of the African Union that says we need to start coordinating and making connections between artists in the southern part of Africa and other parts of Africa. I think from time to time there's always obsession with the United States and Europe, but I think we still have a lot to do in connecting with Africa.
And community theatre is something that, who has been acting in the position for a while, is something he was very passionate about. How do you plan to continue that?
Yes, in fact, in the program for next year, we have made sure that it's as balanced as possible. It's also inclusive in terms of making sure that we cater for those people that want to go to the big venues like your opera, but we also cater for developmental shows, community theatre, because even if you were to go to other parts of the world, whether it's West End or in New York, all those shows that end up there in commercial spaces started as development work. So I think it's very important that we have a very close relations and also work very closely with communities, because in fact, even one way of developing audiences is to make sure that the people of the area see themselves being represented on the stages of the State Theatre.
And, lack of funding is a reality for the arts across the country. How do you plan to deal with that issue?
Yeah, I think lack of funding, because about 2 days ago we were at the white paper in Durban, where we were trying to review the white paper of arts and culture. And it's a common problem that cuts across the sector. And what we are trying to do is to try, okay, let's look at opportunities out there, because also now there's a reality that the Lotto is no longer funding the way it used to fund the arts institutions, so which means this thing of partnering with other institutions and also making sure that we sell ourselves in terms of making ourselves attractive to the private sector, and also not only looking at that, also the embassies and foundations in the country and internationally. But also we also need to look at our business models to say, other than theatre, what else can we do within our spaces? For example, this theatre, I think it's one of the biggest in the country. It's got so many spaces, so many resources. So we could actually try to sustain the theatre by partnering with the private sector to open businesses at the State Theatre, whether it's restaurants and those things. Just try to maximize opportunities that come with the space itself, especially given its sheer size.
And, ever since your appointment, what have you been busy with up until today?
Oh, well, I think because it's just my first month, I don't want to start saying I've been busy fixing this, fixing that. So I think the most important is just to understand the strategic planning, the performance plan of the organization, what has been achieved in the previous year and what is planned for the next year. But now that I've joined at the time before the end of the financial year, which is March next year, so which means I have an opportunity to contribute to the future strategy of the State Theatre.
All right, Dr. Mkhize, good luck in your new position. Dr. Sibongiseni Mkhize is the CEO of the State Theatre, taking over from Obrisi Khabi, who's been acting in that position. He's a former CEO of the Market Theatre Foundation in Johannesburg and Chief Director of Cultural Affairs at the Department of Sport, Arts, Culture and Recreation. All right.